so it is time. So this is the Infinite Game. I'm going to talk to you about another myth that people are always spewing. All right, so the myth is that people say, oh, you got to constantly stay in the spotlight after you retire for your prices to go up and be relevant. That's false. That is extremely false. You know why? Because Michael Jordan is one of the biggest athletes known to human history, known to man, and he's about as private as you can get. He does very few interviews. I believe he did an interview beginning of this year, and last time he had he had the documentary, but he doesn't do very many documentaries. He doesn't do very many interviews. Every once in a while, but he has kept a lower key than many other players such as Scottie Pippen and other players like that. On the other side, Scottie Pippen has been on TV, has been in the news for certain things, and his prices weren't really going up as much. They're kind of steady a little bit, but really Jordan prices went crazy. Yeah, the documentary has something to do with it. Yeah, like, you know, this whole sports cars boom, but being in the public eye doesn't really do anything. On the other hand, what does help is having a brand, and Michael Jordan has an amazing brand. He's not, but his brand is in the public image. Other players, though, who don't have a big spotlight, or they could if they wanted to, but choose not to, is Allen Iverson. Like, his cards are highly valued. A lot of people love Allen Iverson overall. He is an all-time great, but he's not in the spotlight like that. Every once in a while, maybe he comes on ESPN First Take, but you don't hear anything from him. He's not out like that. And his cards really aren't that, and it's not a crazy population of his cards. That's the other thing. It's not like as many as Shaq and some of these other players, you know, obviously like Trae Young or someone like that. So that's another player who's highly loved, and he has a lot of popularity, but most of that coming from when he was playing the game of basketball. There's some other people. Dennis Rodman, it did help him. It did help Dennis Rodman. But there's a pattern with this. If you're one of the all-time greats and you're one of the more popular players while in the NBA, it doesn't matter whether you're going to be in the public eye or not when you retire. Your stuff is going to be highly valued, highly coveted if you're a point guard, shooting guard, small forward. Maybe if you're a center, maybe you're a power forward. Charles Barkley and Shaq are exceptions. The other one is, so Dennis Rodman, for example, he's wild and crazy. He was, I believe, an ambassador for North Korea. He's just a fool. Like, he's been in shows, movies. He's been in the public eye a lot. He's been on news headlines and things. I think that has kind of like helped his car prices and people wanting to buy. He did write a book and things such as that. So that makes people want to get into him. But his is just so crazy. It's not just that he's on TV. Because if that was the case, you know, Scottie Pippen stuff would probably be higher. Another person is Brad Daugherty. He was someone who played for the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he had to retire because of injuries. I don't believe he's a Hall of Famer, but he was an all-star, 5-time all-star, I believe. And he was supposed to be this transcendent player. When he did play for the Cavaliers, they were a good team. However, he is an announcer for NASCAR. He's an example of a person who is in a public image, but no one really cares. No one really collects his cars. No one really cares. Randy Moss is someone, but I don't think it really helped him that much. Yeah, guys gonna be in the public eye and things such as that, but I think it matters how much they're a cultural icon while playing and maybe what they're doing in the future, but I think that's one of the things that people really have to look at. People say, oh, Drew Brees or whatever. People still may not really care about his cards. Look at players who retire and what kind of brand they're going to have. Players would include LeBron James, Stephen Curry. They're gonna have still probably big brands once they retire. Kevin Durant, I think he's gonna have a brand. It may not be as large as LeBron James, but he's going to be very successful even when he retires. The next person is Dwayne Wade. He's gonna have a very large brand. I think he's gonna do a lot because he's very ambitious. Look at how ambitious the person is gonna be. Don't look at like, oh, they're gonna be on TV or they're gonna be a TV show. Whether they're gonna do while they're on TV. Like The Rock, for example, one of the best wrestlers ever. Great, got into movies. Other people got into movies, other wrestlers, Shawn Michaels, Kane, Stone Cold Steve Austin, people got into movies, but The Rock dominated and created a brand from that, where he's investing in multiple businesses and things such as that. The brand matters, not necessarily the person or the player after they retire. And it really matters more about business ventures and how they have influence on people. Because there are other people like David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon, where they've been very successful after the NBA, but their cards haven't gone up in congruence with that. And there are other guys that were very successful, or they went to the NBA, but they were bench players, 12th man, 8th man off the bench. One of them, I believe, Vinnie Johnson, Vinnie the Microwave Johnson has an $800 million, is an executive and is worth $800 million for a major company. Like, these are the things that people have to look at, that, you know, Jermaine O'Neal is extremely successful, but his cards aren't incongruent with that. So that's something you have to look at. You know, so basically Durant, LeBron, Curry are guys that are gonna have big brands and you're gonna want to be invested in. Maybe Kawhi, but he's not going to, people aren't gonna care as much. I think there are a lot of people who love Kawhi, and I think more people get into sports cards. I think Kawhi cards will go up. I'm gonna be a Kawhi collector. You know, maybe Harden as well. But there are about 5 guys every 10 years that to look at. For football, I think it's hard because Peyton Manning is well known, but I think people are gonna look more towards Tom Brady, probably more towards Patrick Mahomes. You know, baseball is really hard. Bryce Harper will be the best that comes to mind after he retires, but baseball, these guys are pretty much docile in their career and people won't really know much about them after they retire, I'm pretty sure. You know, hockey, I would say same way. Soccer, David Beckham is extremely successful, very well known. So I think Ronaldo and Messi, probably Mbappe, probably Neymar as well. These guys will probably be very successful after they retire. And people will still have interest in them just because of their popularity while they were players. And they may do very interesting things. So guys like that have the most leverage. So just saying, oh, they're gonna be on TV or they're gonna be an announcer or something like that. No, they need to build like a Jordan brand, you know, own a major company that the public really is into. Not something that's private, you know, maybe you make some kind of widget for a car that makes you hundreds of millions of dollars. People are not really gonna care much about that. But if they're going to be a big time actor, major brand for something like culture relevant, like shoes, something entertainment, producing movies, things such as that where people have a major focus on, those are the things that are actually going to matter. Or if they're a major politician, you know, president or in the presidential cabinet or a governor, I think these things will have more of an effect. So yeah, that's the video, and please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'm planning on making more content.